Pittsburgh Steelers versus Baltimore Ravens reaction, an instant reaction to one of the better games I've seen this year. This game did not disappoint. I was really looking forward to this. This is still, for me, the best game of the week with respect to, I think, the San Francisco-Seattle game is very interesting as well. But, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens, it was back and forth. I thought, that opening drive, what was it, the third play of the game where Lamar Jackson threw the pick six, I thought, oh boy, this could get out of hand pretty quickly, and then wouldn't you know it, right down the field on the next drive, Pittsburgh makes a stupid bonehead move, gets a personal foul, extends the drive, then Baltimore starts to assert itself. Now, what I love about Baltimore is the ability to run the football. Everybody knows, everybody talks about it, but it's a little bit different. I saw a lot of comments earlier in the week from Pittsburgh Steelers fans saying, oh, yeah, Pittsburgh, we're going to shut down the run. We shut down the run against Cleveland a couple weeks ago, yada, yada, yada. The difference between Cleveland and Baltimore is that Cleveland likes to run a kind of a stretch running game, and Pittsburgh, their linebackers are just too fast to do that. Baltimore, when they run the ball, they just punch you in the mouth repeatedly over and over again, and we saw it in the first half. Pittsburgh really didn't have an answer. They couldn't hold on to the ball offensively, defensively. They were just on the field for a long time. In Baltimore, that's the kind of football they want to play. Now, in the second half, Pittsburgh, and I think maybe even at the end of the first half, Pittsburgh started to try to run the ball a little bit more. And honestly, if you're a Steelers fan, you probably thought that the Steelers didn't play particularly well. As somebody who is completely impartial, I'm not a fan of either team. Let me just say what I saw as an unbiased person. I think these are two teams that were giving the other team a lot of trouble, plus the weather was bad. I think that played into Baltimore's hands a little bit more. Lamar Jackson, I think, had 2 interceptions. If he had a clean stat sheet, Baltimore probably wins this game going away. So I think if you're a Ravens fan, you probably feel like you gave this game away, depending on what the last play of the game, if you thought he was maybe interfered with or something like that. I don't think so. Again, unbiased, I see that play over and over again. I've seen Baltimore do that to a lot of teams too, so I'm not going to really put too much stock into the end of that drive there. But Pittsburgh, you got to hand it to them. They come back. What I don't like about Pittsburgh, and believe me, these are probably two, and I think Pittsburgh's still my top team in the league in terms of power rankings, especially now going to 7-0 or 6-0 or whatever it is. Baltimore, on the other hand, they're fantastic, and I think they're 7-0 if I remember correctly for the Steelers. Baltimore, I believe they're 5-2 now, something like that. These are two of the top 5 teams in football, and they're going to lock horns again in Pittsburgh, in a few weeks, sometime later this season, and that's going to be a phenomenal game too, because these games are always just incredible games to watch. But Pittsburgh, offensively, I like the way they match up with a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, but the way they try to attack the Baltimore Ravens, especially in the sloppy weather like today. Randy Fichtner is a play caller. I noticed this last season when Roethlisberger was out, he ran spread quite a bit. And I got to say, and it worked out for Pittsburgh. I'm not an NFL coach. I'm not a play caller, so, everybody can comment below. But going empty backfield on, the second down and 10 late in that game, I don't mind passing there, but going empty backfield drives me a little crazy because you even take away the threat of the run. Roethlisberger's not going to run a quarterback draw there against that defense. I don't love it. And Fichtner will do that kind of thing. Philosophically, I guess I disagree. But again, I'm not a football coach. I'm a guy who comments on these games after the fact. Running, let's just run through the stats. So Roethlisberger was 21-32, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. What did we say before the week? We said he had to have a clean stat sheet. I think I saw a lot of Ravens fans that were commenting below saying, Roethlisberger, he's not taking care of the football. And I agreed. I think if Roethlisberger had 2 or 3 interceptions, it would have been game over for Pittsburgh. But he had that clean game, so there you go. 182 yards, not a lot of yardage, but he got those 2 touchdowns in key situations. James Conner, 15 carries for 47 yards. I would come out and I would criticize maybe not running the ball a little bit more. And I think maybe in another game, I think I would have made that criticism, but this is Baltimore. Nobody really runs the ball against them. That's what makes that team so special. JuJu Smith-Schuster, although, he had a fantastic grab, got them into scoring position late, I think, in the game there. 7 catches, 67 yards. Again, not a lot of yardage, but a touchdown there. Fantastic catch in traffic. I mean, he's just somebody that Roethlisberger relies on. But, this is just what Baltimore did, man. They were making Pittsburgh go to their, 3rd and 4th option all game long. Ebron has 4 catches, 48 yards, and a touchdown. Claypool has 5 catches, 42 yards, and a touchdown. Ray McLeod had, I think, a key pass interference draw late in the game. Diontae Johnson only 3 targets, 1 catch for 6 yards. So Baltimore did a pretty good job clamping them down. Again, if they just kept their, kept and held onto the ball, that would have been it. Lamar Jackson, 13 to 28, which I'm sorry, that's a pretty consistent Lamar Jackson stat line. He'll go 18 for 30. Like I think I've seen that stat line quite a bit. He's not a heavy completion percentage guy, but 208 yards, which is, on par from what he gets, but, only 13 completions for 208 yards. He was throwing the ball downfield, got a big pass late in the game there, threw a dime at the end of the game. Unfortunately, Pittsburgh just made the play on the ball there. Depending on if you're a fan, if you're a Ravens fan, you probably think that they might have gotten there early, but I just disagree with that. 2 touchdowns, but it was those 2 picks. That's the story of the game. The other story of the game is, man, if you're a Ravens fan, comment below. I'd love to hear from you. But would it bother you if Mark Ingram never plays for the Ravens again? Gus Edwards has always been the most underrated running back in the NFL. He is good every time he plays. The only reason he hasn't really become a star is because he's always had people ahead of him on the depth chart. J.K. Dobbins, who's my favorite rookie running back this year, I love him. 15 carries, 113 yards for 7.5 yards per carry. Gus Edwards, who I was just talking about, 16 carries, 87 yards and a touchdown. Lamar Jackson adds 16 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. And I was making a note earlier about how Steelers fans thought that they would be able to stop this Baltimore Ravens run. It's not the Cleveland Browns. It's not the Tennessee Titans, who I think are even more of a smash mouth. Baltimore will punch you in the mouth over and over again, running up the middle and tire out your defensive line, rough up the linebackers a little bit. And then you have Lamar Jackson, who's just crazy fast, running these option runs and quarterback sweeps and all that stuff. It's just really impossible to stop. The only way you can really stop it with consistency is to take a big lead early in the game, which is what I've been seeing all season. On the passing game, of those 13 completions, Willie Snead had 5 of them for 106 yards. Devin Duvernay, 1 catch for 39 yards. Mark Andrews, 3 catches, 32 yards. Miles Boykin gets the touchdown, one of the touchdowns, I should say, 2 catches for 20 yards. Marquise Brown finally shows up in the end zone, but 2 targets for Marquise Brown, 1 catch, 3 yards. So I'm curious, Baltimore, let me know what you think about that Dez Bryant signing. I don't think it's anything to necessarily get excited about if you're an NFL fan or anything like that. But I am intrigued as somebody who follows basically every team in the league. I am interested because Baltimore needs some kind of presence in the receiving game. And when you're probably your best receiver in Marquise Brown is getting 2 targets, and then, in my opinion, I know Willie Snead I think he's second on the depth chart, but in my opinion, Miles Boykin is kind of my second favorite. He only gets 3 targets. That's a problem. Maybe not a problem, when Baltimore is just running for 500 yards on inferior teams and like that. But I think when you see them match up against a Pittsburgh or, let's say, a Kansas City or something like that, if you can't really generate separation with your receivers consistently, at least enough separation to warrant 7 to 10 to 15 targets a game or something like that, you need somebody there with that presence, and at least Dez Bryant can give you a physical presence, in slant routes and stuff like that. So I'm curious to see, again, if Dez Bryant signed anywhere else, I probably wouldn't care. But I think he uniquely fits in Baltimore, so I'm really curious to see how that goes. Baltimore fans, comment. Let me know what you think about it, if it's a yay or a nay. Pittsburgh, hey, congratulations. Big win. Well-deserved win. Hard-fought game. I can't wait to see this rematch later in the season. Still undefeated. That's pretty cool as well to see what Pittsburgh's doing. And I got to say, Baltimore, what were they, number 4 in my power rankings or something like that this week? I don't even know if I'm going to move them down. This game could have gone either way. As I said earlier in this week a couple of times, this is a field goal game. Every time these guys come to play, it's always a one possession. It always comes down to the end. And it's just really, really fun to watch. Tough loss, Ravens fans. Let me know what you think could have gone differently. Pittsburgh fans, let me know what you can do differently. Specifically, what was going on in the run game? Was it all Baltimore's defense? Was it game plan? What did you see? What is your opinion of the run game? Because I think that has to get a little bit better for Pittsburgh as we get into January and hopefully into February if you're a Steelers fan. And same with Baltimore. I mean, what do you need to change to really make a big Super Bowl run? Because, hey, these two teams are going to be in playing at, competing for this AFC Championship for sure. You can probably pencil both of these teams in the second round of the playoffs. They're that good. So what gets you over the hump? Comment below. I appreciate it. Everybody, please like and subscribe. We'll do some more game reaction videos as well. Once again, Pittsburgh Steelers versus Baltimore Ravens, 28-24. Fantastic game. Can't wait for the rematch. Thanks, everyone.